New year, new me. I love integrals now. Well, that's not necessarily true. I like this integral. Let's turn this around and look at the Terramundi Ray before they're out of stock. Guys, the time has come for the final review of this knife. It's the Terramundi Knives Ray designed by Dylan Mallory. This is honestly, I gotta say, one of the first integrals I can really get behind. Let's get this box out of the way. Oh, before we do that, I wanted to show you guys something. Inside the box, now these are cool because these are a limited run. We will get into specs and size comparison and stuff. But these are an integral. They're an M390. These are a limited run of 200. These are still available beyond EDC, and you can still save 40% with my coupon code CrazySharp, all one word, all lowercase. But these are signed. This is a signed card by Dylan himself. So not to make this take longer, now let's get this out of the way. Get into this one. So as I said, this is done titanium carbon fiber as an integral. It's a frame lock. It has to be. It's an integral. And it is a drop point, an M390. So this is a gorgeous, gorgeous knife. But let's get into the specs. So just some general specs here. You're looking at a 7.25 inch overall length with a 3¼ inch blade. Yeah, that's what I've got here. So it's not a real big knife, like I said, but it's also not that small. It's done in M390 carbon fiber titanium. Like I said, it is an integral format, and it is coming in at 3.6 ounces. So it is a little bit heavier for a small knife. Let's get some knives out for some size comparison. First knife's going to just be what's in my pocket. The Spyderco PM2. The Paramilitary 2 is not a huge EDC. You can see it's a good bit bigger. This is a knife a lot of you guys are going to know. Your next knife is the Benchmade 940. Most of you guys are going to know that as a good size reference. You can see it's not that much different in size when you put them heel to toe, or heel to tip, just slightly shorter than the 940, which is, you know, it's a full-size EDC. So, and then your final knife for size comparison, as always, is the Chris Reeves Sebenza Large 21. You can see good bit smaller than the 21, which is a fairly good-sized EDC. So let's get all of this stuff out of the way and talk about how good this knife is. All right, let's crack into this. This thing is not just beautiful. We'll talk about that in a little bit. This is super good all around. So you have got incredible good action on it. Now, this is reverse flick only, but the action on it is just buttery. It is super smooth. It's not drop shut. It's much more akin to what you feel on the Sebenza, where it's just frictionless, but not quite drop shut. I'm fine with that. I don't always want drop shut. Sometimes it can be problematic and almost hazardous. This thing is reverse flick only, big aperture that's easy to access. It is not hard at all to reverse flick off of this, just no effort at all. And not only is that a big aperture that is really easy to use, it is done in one of the most attractive fashions I've ever seen. It's almost like one of those infinity mirrors. It is just beautiful. The blade, even though it is kind of broad on, or kind of thick blade stock, it's not a real broad blade. They did a very, very good job transitioning down to a nice behind the edge thickness. And this thing cuts really, really well. I just cleaned it up. I just touched up the edge after I resharpened it, but I did a lot of cutting with cardboard with this, and it has held up. The finish has held up fairly well. You can see there's some scratches and stuff on it, but it is a very good cutter, even though it's kind of thick blade stock. The handles on it, super comfortable. They're curved just about perfectly. I've got really good access on this knife. It is thicker because it is an integral, which means it fills your hand really well. It is kind of one of those, like, I don't know, just look a little thicker, chunkier across the back than a lot of the other knives. And it's completely contoured, which just means it's really comfortable. Pocket clip is not a hot spot in hand. It is absolutely easy to get in and out of pocket because, as you can see, the pocket clip has got a unique feature to it. It's not completely across, so you don't have any issues with it pushing material down in here. And on top of that, that's been nice and softened. There are no hard edges on this. I have complained on some knives where there's like sharp edges and stuff. Everything has been chamfered and softened. The access to the lock bar is just about perfect. Now, when you're cutting, you've got a really cool thing about this. A lot of knives have got this area here that's kind of wasted space. This is another one of those knives that has utilized that and made it easy to use that as a choil, so you can bear down on it without having a full finger choil. You're not losing much on the blade length, which is good because it's not that big, it's not that long of a blade, but they've maximized the amount of cutting length you have. The The feel in hand, it is nice and beefy because it is solid. It's got, though, just about that neutral balance that I really love. And you can definitely get up on it because this sweeps down here. You can definitely get up on it here with your thumb and power into some cuts. But then again, on top of everything, it is just beautiful. Now, I did take this knife apart, changed out the lubricant. It is not hard to get apart and back together. As long as you're careful, you can get this thing out. You can take this piece here. This is like a window where you can get in and you can get to the washers and everything. So made it really easy to clean up. But if you're not into taking it apart, it does have enough space in there for you to get in there, put a drop or two of KPL in there. The capillary action will drag it in, and you can access your detent ball to put a little drop of lubricant on there as well, real easily, and you don't necessarily have to take this knife apart. So with that being said, there are a couple negative things that I will say about this knife, as much as I love it, but we'll talk about those after you guys hear from a sponsor. Guys, did you know that Coffee Brand Coffee has more than just awesome on-demand roasted coffees and flavored coffees? They also have tea, cocoa, cold brew bags, decaf, and they have premium candies that will make your family go nuts. So check them out with the link down below to save 10% on some of the best coffee you're going to find. Okay, first of all, the jimping is a little soft. The jimping is a little soft. It's not horrible, but I would have wanted it to be just slightly more aggressive. They're kind of soft, and they're kind of just there for looks, and I'm not a fan of the way jimping looks. Next thing, the pocket clip, while it is really comfortable, it adds a good bit of thickness, not in hand. It's not a comfort issue in hand, but in pocket, it definitely can bang into stuff. And what I've done 3 times now is we've got one of those magnetic screen doors, and it's caught on that, and I ripped it loose, and I had to rehang the screen door. This next one is a longevity thing. That is fairly thick blade stock, right? And like I said, they did a good job transitioning down to a very usable edge. The problem is the amount of transition. It's going to, over successive sharpenings, it's going to start to thicken up behind the edge, and you're going to have to, change your angle, and you're going to have to remove more material to, lay back that angle and thin it back out, because you are really quickly going to get into some thicker blade stock. And I think that in future iterations, maybe they could do like a hollow or make this a little bit thinner blade stock. I would like to see a larger version of this too. That would be cool. And then the final thing is just the fact, as an integral, this is heavier than a lot of other knives in its size point. You know what I mean? It is really well balanced and everything, but at 3.6 ounces, I've got a lot of other knives that are a good bit bigger than this that are coming in that price range. And I do know you can't do any weight reduction, really. It's very hard to do on an integral. It's just the nature of the beast, but it is one of those things you might want to look at. And then a final thing, if you're a guy that just does not like reverse flick, maybe a flipper on some of these in future, maybe do a version that has a flipper and one without. I like the clean lines of it without the flipper, but I could see that being a point. But all in all, is it a yup or a nah? I got them reversed. It's definitely a yup. This thing is probably one of the only integrals on the market that I could get behind. I'm not going to lie, I did like the Benchmade Anthem, but at the price point for the Benchmade Anthem, you're looking at almost $700. Even without my discount, this is half that price. So with my discount on Beyond EDC right now, like I said, $192. Don't forget to hit them up. Guys, let's turn this around, do some final thoughts, and send you out about your day. Yeah, guys, all joking aside, in the intro, I absolutely have fallen in love with this. I am typically not a fan of integrals, and you guys know this, and a lot of times it's because they're so ridiculously expensive. Like I said in the video, the Anthem by Benchmade, like $700 if you bought it retail. If you were first responder or law enforcement, or military, you could get them for like $4. And that's still more than this. And this is better, in my opinion. So, guys, that's it on this one. If you want to check this out, there's a link below. If you want to support the channel, lots of ways you can do it. I've got sponsors. You saw an ad. Go check them out. Coffee Brand Coffee and Temperature have links with discounts built into them down below. You can also use coupon code CrazySharp, which saves you 40% at Beyond EDC. It's all one word, all lowercase, Crazy Sharp. You can also use that at Rosecraft Blades, Fair and Forge Knife Works. I've got affiliate links down below to most of the major vendors like Blade HQ, Knife Free, GP Knives, and a bunch of different companies. including, like I said, Beyond EDC. I've got an Amazon store you can take, pin that link to your browser, use it for any shopping you do. I've built a community Discord down below where if you've got any questions or anything you'd like to reach out to me, you can hit me up on DMs. If you join that Discord, it says join the community down there. Do that. I've got a membership. Check that out. See what benefits you may want to take. I do giveaways. I do exclusive content. There's a private Discord. The premium guys have access to a sharpening tutorial series. So there's a lot of stuff that I do for those guys. Guys, that's it on this one. I love you. I'll keep it clean in the comment section. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. And I'll see you in the next video.